2/3 of the world's surface is covered by ocean, and the other third is covered by N'Golo Kante.
N'Golo is incredible. He's like 1.5 or 2 players. I mean, everybody who sees him for the first time loves him, and all my family love him when they watch our games now.
Going all the way through. Oh, it gets better and better for Chelsea. What a popular goal.
The emergence of N'Golo Kante from the 9th tier of French football to becoming one of the greatest players in history of the sport is beyond remarkable. Fairy tale stories are not alien in the world of football. Every now and then, you'll always find chronicles of players who rose above the challenges of their background to become superstars. It's a tale that cuts through the noise and resonates deeply with anyone who has ever faced adversity at some point in their lives. More importantly, it's a testament to perseverance, humility, and an unyielding spirit. This is the story of how a trash collector rose to the pinnacle of world football, defying the odds at every step of the way. On the 29th of March 1991, an immigrant couple from Mali welcomed the first of their 4 children in the Parisian suburb of Rueil-Malmaison. As you can imagine, it was a special occasion that gladdened their hearts, and to mark the event, they named the child N'Golo Kante, after King N'Golo Diarra, who went from being a slave to ruling the Banama Empire between 1766 and 1790. Little did they know that their son would one day follow a path that echoed the resilience of the emperor he was named after. Growing up, young Kante was deprived of many basic luxuries that other children enjoyed. But amidst all of his troubles, he found solace in football. He was particularly thrilled by Dalima Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and the iconic Diego Maradona. He binged their videos day and night and hoped to one day replicate their success. Unfortunately, Kante's reality was a lot different. He didn't have the same flair as his idols, and the opportunities to pursue his passion were few and far between. Academies rejected him for fun, so while other kids honed their skills under the tutelage of professional coaches, Kante had to make do with playing street football with his friends, while also working as a garbage picker to support his family. Yet through it all, Kante never gave up on his dream. He continued his search for an academy, and eventually JS Serenis took the gamble on him in 1999. For a player who had suffered many setbacks and tribulations, this was a monumental victory. But he knew well enough that the job wasn't done yet. If he was ever going to fulfill his dream of becoming a pro, he needed to make the most of this golden opportunity. And that's exactly what he did. Upon arriving at JS Serenis, Kante began to learn the basics of professional football from the coaches. His discipline, dedication, and ability to grasp new concepts were impressed by everyone. However, there were still some flaws in his game. For starters, Kante's diminutive stature put him at a disadvantage against opponents, and for all his industry on the pitch, he couldn't play with his left foot. The former was beyond his control at the time, so he basically had to live with it. But once coaches pointed out the weakness of his left foot, he worked extremely hard to correct it, and within a few months, he was able to juggle the ball with his left foot. From then on, Kante became unstoppable. He was consistently the best player in his age group, and coaches would often move him up to play with older teams. And he never looked out of place. After a few months of impressive displays, Kante landed himself a deal to play for Bologna in League 2. Unfortunately, his arrival coincided with a bad patch for the club. So much so that by the time he made his debut on the 18th of May in 2012, the club had been relegated to the Championnat National. It was the worst scenario that Kante would have hoped for. But little did he know that this setback would become the foundation of his metric rise to stardom. As Bologna began its campaign in the 3rd tier of French football for the 2012-2013 season, Kante became an important member of the squad. He featured in all but one game across the season, scoring 3 goals along the way. Thanks to his impressive performances for Bologna, Kanté secured a life-changing move to Cayenne. He played every single game of the 2013-2014 season, helping the team to a 3rd place finish, which ultimately earned them promotion to the top division of French football. He wasted no time in showing his qualities in Ligue 1, featuring in 37 games across the season, and recovering the ball more times than any other player across Europe. By then, several clubs across the continent were already getting scouting reports about a 5'5" French phenomenon, who had taken Ligue 1 by storm. But in the end, it was Leicester City that made the decisive move to sign him for €8 million. Exactly 5 days after putting pen to paper, Kanté made his debut for the East Midland-based club in a 4-2 victory against Sunderland, and from then on, he became one of the first names on the team sheet. Game after game, Kanté dazzled fans with his tireless energy, intelligent play, and his uncanny ability to recover the ball with ease. These traits set him apart from the rest, as he established himself as one of the most dominant midfielders in the league, and Leicester City were all the better for it. Driven by the exceptional performances of N'Golo Kante from the middle of the park and the mighty efforts of other members of the team, the club won the Premier League. It was a historic win that came against all odds, and one that highlighted the growth of Kanté's career. From playing in the 9th division of French football with JS Serennes and being questioned about his diminutive stature, he was now standing tall as a Premier League champion in just his first season in England. But little did we know, he was only just getting started. On the back of his impressive debut season for Leicester, Kanté received a huge offer from Chelsea, one of the biggest clubs on the continent. Desperate to keep hold of their prized asset, Leicester City offered him a bumper pay rise that would make him the highest paid player at the club. But in the end, Kanté opted to join the Blues on a 5-year deal worth £32 million. It was the biggest move of his career by a mile, but the French midfielder wasn't about to let it get into his head. Instead, he maintained the same humble personality that had defined him since childhood. In typical fashion, he arrived at his first training session at the club riding on a scooter, and it wasn't until he got a stern telling off from his mother that he bought a Mini Cooper. But it wasn't a surprise. N'Golo Kante had never been one to prioritise luxury amenities and a flashy lifestyle. His aim has always been to focus on football, and he carried that mentality to Chelsea.
When I come to Chelsea, I know it's a big club. I'm excited because next season will be very difficult.
Just as Kante predicted, the 2016-2017 Premier League season was indeed tough, but his undeniable talent was once again on display for everyone to see. He helped Chelsea win the Premier League, becoming the first player since Eric Cantona in 1993 to win consecutive league titles with 2 different clubs. To top that off, he added the FA Cup and several personal accolades to his collection. This includes the PFA Players Player of the Year, the FWA Footballer of the Year, and the Premier League Player of the Season. Even more inspiring than his long haul of awards was his acceptance speech, which detailed his journey from obscurity to prominence within a short while.
It's very special to be here because a few years ago I was in France in lower division. Like 5 years ago I wasn't professional, and to be here with to receive this kind of award to join the list of the biggest player, I couldn't imagine to be here.
As you would imagine, the recognition and awards continued to pour in troves. Many compared him to the legendary French midfielder Dynamo Claude Makelele, while some others called him the best central midfielder in the world. But being the humble personality that he is, Kante distanced himself from these comparisons. Instead, he focused on his game, and in 2018, he reached the highest point of his career by winning the World Cup with France. It was exactly 20 years since Les Bleus won the coveted prize in 1998. N'Golo Kante was only a garbage picker who watched on TV as Zinedine Zidane and Didier Deschamps and other legends led France to glory. But this time, he was selected as one of the 23 players for the tournament. After 4 weeks of intense competition, the French team emerged victorious. And amidst all the jubilations, N'Golo Kante was getting unusual praise. Throughout the competition, analysis and fans noticed Kante's overbearing impact on the team. He covered every blade of grass on the pitch, doing the dirty job and allowing other players around him to thrive. This fact was not lost on his teammates, who sang his name during the trophy parade. Since then, Kante has gone on to win more trophies, including the UEFA Champions League in 2021. But nowadays, he's moved on to Saudi Arabia, where he plays for Al Ittihad as he winds down his career. Understandably, he's not particularly at the top of his game anymore, but nonetheless, his legacy as one of the greatest midfielders of all time will never be forgotten.